Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The 4th of July travel rush, how severe weather could disrupt plans. President Biden vows to stay in the race despite growing concern among Democrats, and community outrage after police shoot and kill a 13-year-old who they allege had a replica gun. First, the record number of Americans expected to fly this holiday week. The TSA anticipating 5.7 million people will travel through our nation's airports. Many more hitting the roads, highways jammed. But more than 80 million Americans are in the path of severe storms, including possible tornadoes. The South facing excessive heat advisories. And Beryl, now a hurricane, taking aim at the Caribbean. Our weather team is tracking it all. Also tonight, President Biden remains defiant, ignoring calls to drop his re-election bid after his faltering debate performance. What his campaign is telling Democratic Party leaders as donations continue to pour in, and what a new poll reveals about what Americans thought of Donald Trump's performance. Mary Alice Park standing by. A community in anguish after police shoot and kill a 13-year-old boy during a chase. Officers say he was carrying what appeared to be a handgun, but now saying it was a replica. His family demanding answers. Breaking her silence, an Israeli woman kidnapped by Hamas and held for months is now speaking out for the first time since being rescued. Her message to the world. The alleged driver of a car that tore through a Long Island nail salon, killing 4, is now charged with DWI. We've now learned an off-duty police officer was among the victims. A mother arrested, accused of leaving her 8-year-old daughter in a hot car while she worked, the girl later dying. We remember Martin Mull, an actor who kept us laughing over a career in TV and films that spanned 50 years. And America Strong tonight, the coach who's overcome so much, inspiring a new generation of athletes.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin with the severe weather threat and the holiday travel rush. Millions on the move in the lead up to the 4th of July. Travelers packing the nation's airports. Friday was the 4th busiest day in the TSA's history, and officials are expecting to set an all-time record in the coming days. AAA estimates around 6 million people will be traveling by car, with gas prices a little lower this year. And all eyes are on the severe weather that could impact 80 million Americans moving in tonight and into tomorrow for the Midwest and Northeast. Damaging wind, heavy rain, and tornadoes all possible. And we're tracking the first hurricane of the year, taking aim at the Caribbean. Samara Theodore standing by with the forecast. But first, ABC's Phil Lipoff leads us off from Newark Airport.
Tonight, a record number of air travelers expected this 4th of July holiday weekend.
It seems pretty busy already coming in.
The TSA anticipating 5.7 million people will fly to their holiday destination, a 7% increase from last year and up 12% from 2019. At Newark Liberty in New Jersey, an early morning for Talia Gibson and her daughter, 7-year-old Peyton, who is desperately looking forward to spending time with her grandmother in Florida. But the airport?
Do you like crowds?
I don't really like crowds because they talk loud. I don't really like talking loud.
For many, the train is a better choice.
It sure beats the hassle of getting to an airport and having to get there early.
On the roads, 60 million drivers are expected. The worst time to travel between 2 and 8 p.m. The best time? Before 10 a.m. The national average for a gallon of gas is $3.50, just about 5 cents less than it was this time last year. And the weather will impact travel this weekend. More than 80 million people in the path of a storm that will bring potential for damaging winds, heavy rain, even tornadoes. The line of storms will stretch from Ohio to New York.
The TSA says it screened just under 3 million people yesterday alone, making it the 4th busiest travel day ever at airports. And they do expect, as you said, Whit, to top that, perhaps the busiest travel day ever coming up on July 7th. Whit.
All right, Phil, we will brace for that. Thank you. Let's bring in ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore. And Samara, time this out, the severe weather as it moves in.
Whit, a tornado watch has already been issued, actually, for parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio, along with a severe thunderstorm watch. This line of storms rolling through overnight, and then another line making its way to the East Coast, the I-95 corridor, particularly tomorrow evening. That could bring damaging winds along with a few tornadoes. The heat persists for the central and southern portions of the country, with excessive heat warnings from New Orleans all the way to Oklahoma City, feeling as hot as 115 degrees. And, of course, we're keeping a close eye on the Atlantic, where we now have Hurricane Beryl headed for Barbados, potentially reaching as a Category 3 hurricane, then headed for St. Lucia, Grenada, and potentially Jamaica as a Category 2 hurricane at the end of the week. Whit?
And we know you'll be tracking it tomorrow on GMA. Thanks. Next tonight, calls for justice in upstate New York after the deadly police shooting of a 13-year-old boy. Authorities say the boy pointed a replica handgun at officers during a chase before they opened fire. The Utica Police Department now investigating. ABC's Morgan Norwood has details and a warning. This video is disturbing.
Oh my God! Yo, he just shot him!
Tonight, new video showing the moment an officer in upstate New York shot and killed a 13-year-old, identified by his family as Nin Wei, who police say pointed a replica gun at them. Police in Utica, about 90 minutes northwest of Albany, say they stopped 2 juveniles as part of an ongoing investigation around 10:30 Friday night. Wei seen running away from responding officers.
Yo, careful! You're on camera!
We got shots fired! While fleeing, the youth displayed what appeared to be a handgun. Can you please allow me to finish, please? Okay?
Anguish and anger from the crowd as police attempted to explain.
The Utica police officer ultimately discharged his firearm once, striking the male during a ground struggle. On the scene, the officers did recover a replica Glock 17 handgun with a detachable magazine. This replica handgun was ultimately found to be a pellet gun.
The teenager shot once. Officers seen here administering CPR.
With a gunshot wound to the chest.
They're currently doing the CPR.
The boy's uncle today mourning his loss and pledging to fight for him.
So this is the most very heartbreaking for the family because they lost the child, they lost the child. What the police do to them, murder them.
And with the New York Attorney General is investigating along with the Utica Police Department. They're looking into whether the officers involved followed policy, procedure, and protocol along with training. They've been placed on administrative leave with pay. Whit?
Morgan Norwood for us tonight. Thank you. Now to the race for the White House. President Biden is back on the campaign trail tonight with stops in New York and New Jersey as he tries to battle back from Thursday's disappointing debate performance. But the calls for the 81-year-old to step aside ahead of the party convention in August are not going away. Here's ABC's White House correspondent, Mary Alice Parks.
Tonight, several top Democratic Party organizers dismayed and worried, but telling ABC News they continue to back President Joe Biden's re-election bid, even as some question whether he's up to the task. Seasoned staffers and strategists for the party acknowledging the challenge before them now, after millions of Americans saw the president's shaky performance at Thursday's debate. But reality sinking in tonight that there is no way to swap out their party's nominee at this stage in the race unless Biden himself steps aside. That's exactly what the New York Times editorial board called on him to do Friday, calling a continued campaign a, quote, reckless gamble, amid a, quote, significant threat to democracy posed by a second Trump presidency. Mr. Biden has been an admirable president. Under his leadership, the nation prospered, but the greatest public service Mr. Biden can now perform is to announce that he will not continue to run for re-election. So far, however, Biden and his allies remaining defiant. First Lady Jill Biden addressing donors behind closed doors last night, reportedly saying she told the president, "Look, Joe, we're not going to let 90 minutes define the 4 years you've been president." Biden returning to the campaign trail.
He's the best!
We remain in a battle for the soul of America.
And traveling to New York and New Jersey today for events with major donors. The Biden campaign touting $27 million raised since Thursday's debate, earning some public expressions of support from major party power brokers, including Barack Obama, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Chuck Schumer, now trying to move on.
We had a bad debate. What do we do next? And the president, above all, is focused on what do we do next?
A new poll released by ABC's 538 and Ipsos this morning confirms what many suspected, that 60% of likely voters believe Trump won the debate. But the number also offering the Biden campaign a glimmer of hope. The debate doesn't seem to have prompted many people to reconsider their vote, with Biden losing just 1.6 points in the fallout.
Mary Alice Parks back with us now. And Mary Alice, I know you've been talking to your sources. So even if some Democrats wanted to swap out Biden as their nominee, is there even a mechanism to do that this late in the race?
There's not, Whit. I can tell you that some Democrats have been looking closely at those convention rules, but the reality is the delegates are pledged. It would require the president himself to step aside. Whit.
Mary Alice Parks for us, thank you. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. John Carl will interview Biden campaign co-chair Senator Chris Coons, and John's exclusive interview with longtime Trump strategist Steve Bannon as he prepares to head to prison next week. Tonight, new details in the horrific crash that claimed 4 lives at a Long Island nail salon. 9 others were injured. An SUV plowing into the building. The alleged driver charged with DWI. Authorities now saying one of the dead was an off-duty police officer. Janice Yu from our New York station WABC is on the scene.
Tonight, new details in a deadly car crash into a nail salon just outside New York City that took the lives of at least 4 people and left 9 injured.
Upon arrival, we immediately identified that this was a mass casualty incident.
The 64-year-old suspect in that crash, Stephen Schwally, now charged with driving while intoxicated. Police in Suffolk County say he was traveling at a high rate of speed through a parking lot in Deer Park around 4:30 p.m. Friday when he allegedly plowed into Hawaii Nail and Spa.
The man was driving and he came from this parking lot from Kohl's, and he was trying to pass somebody, and then they pretty much ran right into the nail salon.
That salon filled with workers and customers at the time. The deadly crash leaving this massive crater as first responders searched for survivors. The SUV's red lights still flashing from deep inside the building. And tonight we're learning that an off-duty NYPD officer was among the 4 dead. 30-year-old Amelia Renhack was assigned to the 102nd Precinct in Queens, where her husband is a detective.
My heart dropped because life is so fragile. Life is so fragile.
That driver is in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. He's expected to be arraigned at a later date.
All right, Janice Yu, thank you. Overseas now in the war between Israel and Hamas. Tonight, rescued Israeli hostage Noah Argamani breaking her silence 3 weeks after Israeli commandos freed her and 3 other hostages. Let's bring in ABC's Matt Gutman from Tel Aviv. And Matt, what more can you tell us about this video she released and her message tonight?
It was the same message as we heard tens of thousands of people chant tonight in Tel Aviv. They want an immediate deal to bring back the 120 hostages still in captivity in Gaza. Argamani noting that her boyfriend is among them. Most of us saw that harrowing video of them being taken away on motorcycles on October 7th. Argamani speaking almost in a whisper, looking directly into the camera, saying that during her captivity, her biggest concern was for her parents. Her mother has terminal brain cancer. Argamani also thanked her rescuers who freed 3 other hostages in that raid. But according to the Hamas-run health ministry, nearly 300 Palestinians were killed during that raid. And this comes as word has arrived that the U.S. is trying to offer Hamas a chance to amend the current deal. Hamas saying that this is nothing new. They're saying that they will only agree to a guaranteed ceasefire and a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip, something Israel has been reluctant to do.
All right, Matt Gutman, thank you. Now to a North Carolina mother in custody charged in the death of her 8-year-old daughter, who was allegedly left in a hot car. Authorities say Ashley Stallings left her daughter in the car while she went to work, but when she returned to check on her, the girl was barely breathing. Here's ABC's Ika Jachi.
Tonight, a North Carolina mother charged with involuntary manslaughter after police say her daughter died after being left in a hot car for 3.5 hours on the hottest day of the year so far.
8-year-old female having difficulty with breathing, is also unconscious.
According to the police affidavit, 36-year-old Ashley Stallings says she left the air conditioning on while she worked in a Charlotte Amazon facility. But she says she found her daughter unresponsive after she stopped answering texts. According to the affidavit, she used a hammer to bust open the back window and found the victim taking shallow breaths and foaming at the mouth. Stallings knew the temperature was 94 degrees outside and that she should not have left the victim inside the car alone, according to the affidavit, and believe the victim turned the car off because she was cold. Amazon saying they're cooperating with the police investigation, calling the incident incredibly tragic, and offering counseling resources to employees.
Now, Stallings is being held on a $250,000 bond, and court records show no attorney information. Now, her daughter is now the 5th child killed in an alleged hot car incident so far this year, and experts say within an hour, internal car temperatures can soar by 40 degrees. Whit?
An important reminder, just an upsetting story. Ike Ajachi, thank you. Tonight, there is more evidence that the milk supply is safe amid the bird flu outbreak. Officials say results from a new study further confirm pasteurization is effective in inactivating the virus. The FDA and USDA have been keeping close tabs on the nation's milk supply. So far this year, 3 people have been infected with bird flu. All worked with infected animals, and all have recovered. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday, remembering a comic actor whose career spanned 5 decades. And a deadly crash caught on video, a truck plowing right into a house. Stay with us. Next tonight, authorities in South Florida have released surveillance video of a suspect in a harrowing carjacking involving a young child. Police say on Wednesday, this man allegedly stole a woman's car with her 3-year-old child in the back seat. The woman had been exchanging information after a minor accident. The alleged carjacker was later seen leaving the toddler on the side of a road, still in that car seat. The child, thankfully, was not hurt. In Texas, a tractor-trailer veered off a highway this morning, crossing a median as well as a parking lot before crashing into a home in Mission. The driver of the truck was pronounced dead at the scene, and the driver of another vehicle that he struck was rushed to a hospital. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Still ahead, we remember Martin Mull and his long career in comedy. To the index now, and an urgent effort to save dozens of dolphins stranded off of Cape Cod in Massachusetts. According to an animal rescue organization, up to 125 dolphins became stranded in low tide Friday, the largest stranding there in more than 25 years. More than 100 volunteers, you can see them out there, successfully herded most of the dolphins to deeper waters, but some remain stranded today. Tonight, baseball is mourning Hall of Famer Orlando Cepeda, known as the Baby Bull. In 1958, the Puerto Rican native was the National League Rookie of the Year with the San Francisco Giants. 9 years later, the slugging first baseman won a World Series with the St. Louis Cardinals and was the league MVP by unanimous vote. Orlando Cepeda died Friday. He was 86 years old. And we are also remembering comic actor Martin Mull, whose career in movies and TV spanned nearly half a century. His big break came in the 1970s in 2 groundbreaking sitcoms, Mary Hartman, and Fernwood Tonight. Later credits included Roseanne, Arrested Development, and Veep. Martin Mull died Thursday in Los Angeles. He was 80 years old. When we come back, America Strong, a coach on a mission to inspire. Finally tonight, America Strong, the track coach overcoming painful obstacles, determined to inspire.
A competitive runner since the age of 6, for Shake Allen, the track is like home. But today, he gets around in a wheelchair after a tragic accident that took the lives of his sister and cousin and left him paralyzed from the chest down.
You better win this!
Thanks to support from family and friends, he's now back out on the track.
Track actually saved my life.
This time as Coach Shake, helping young runners with the Chester Cheetahs Track Club outside Philadelphia.
I felt being upset that I was in a wheelchair would have been selfish because they was no longer here. At least I still had a chance to do something.
Coach Shake creating a special connection with these 5 to 18-year-olds.
Go! I'm in a wheelchair and I can't physically show the kids, but I have a bond with them.
Grateful he still has use of his arms and hands, enabling him to help runners with proper positioning. By example, he's also teaching them important lessons about life.
I always tell them is a negative and a positive way you could take things. Like me, I told them I could have been negative about my accident, but I wasn't. Come on, all the way through, cross that line.
Coach Shake is now on a mission, inspiring these young runners to reach their full potential, no matter the challenge.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. So you just got to keep on going. Just be thankful for what's there in front of you and make it work. You do not give up.
Do not give up. Clearly making a difference. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I'm Wade Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.